All right. Very much looking forward to this conversation. It is a pleasure to be joined by one of the top lightweights on the planet. He returns to action on May 15th, UFC 262, highly anticipated fight against Beneil Dariush. He's the one and only Tony Ferguson. Tony, how are you? Long time no
Good.
speak.
What's up, buddy? Hey, I'm on my way to Wildcard Boxing right now for some practice right now, some punch face.
Oh, I love this. Okay, so let's start there. When did this happen? How did this all come about? You now training at Wildcard with the legendary Freddie Roach, even GSP in some photos as well. How did this all come about?
I've always been a Wildcard guy. When I was over with Mark Munoz over at Rain Training Center, it was cool to always find myself at a boxing gym. I was at American Gym, and then I was going back and forth in between LA, obviously with 10 Planet, and I would always find myself at Wildcard. And I met Coach Freddie Roach a couple times to one of my old trainers, Rashad, which is really cool. And man, I made some cool changes to my game. I needed to be the team to be hungry again, and why not better else to be overworked? I would always go if I needed to feel that. And honestly, it's been a blessing. It's been cool to be over at a place where it's not like I don't know how to box, but it's not like everybody. It's a really cool thing, Ariel. It's hard to explain because they allow me to grow there, and they allow like all the other boxers to grow, and it's a cool setting to be in. And when I worked one-on-one with Coach Freddie Roach and a lot of his other trainers, I get the attention, and it's really fight based and fight focused, and it's really cool because they're able to be open to the fight esque, and it's been nice to be able to talk to Coach Freddie once in a while when he talk about applying takedowns and how they did with boxing with George St. Pierre, and we'll go into meeting with that guy, which was awesome. Um, I was at 170 for a long time, right, Ariel? You
Yes.
know, I was 10-2 before I went into the Ultimate Fighter with mostly knockouts, and always looking at this dude, George St. Pierre, is that guy, man. Hey, if he's a champ when I get there, I got to beat that guy to get the belt. Always got to beat that guy. And he was one of the only fighters that was doing it right with the supplements and then the non-impact type of training and everything. And it was right there in the same pathway that I was doing my stuff, and how my pops and everybody would tell me, my coaches. And man, out of the blue, I'm over at Wildcard Boxing, and here you go, this guy. I knock out everybody at 170 pounds in the Ultimate Fighter, and he was a guy, man. I'm telling you. And I thought if I would have ever met him, I don't know how I would have acted, dude. It was the coolest thing. He comes in humble as crap, and he's and I'll save our conversations for that for us. But it was the most humbling, and he was really Bushido like, and it was really cool, man. Like, and I haven't been around that kind of martial arts in a while, and it was a really nice thing because it wasn't no passing of a torch or anything like that, but it was really cool and respect, and to be able to be in a room surrounded by that much fight knowledge, I guess you could say, and that much experience was just like unreal. I would have never thought that I would have been like a fanboy and anything like that, but have so much respect that, you know what I mean? It was different. It was completely different because I fight at 155, and 170 is not too much right there. Always at 170. But to have that much respect for somebody, and to have that where you've seen how much work and how hard it is to stay in a spot as a champion for a long time, on the tip of the hat for that one. And back on it with Freddie and Ben Askren and all those guys, it's just been an experience, bro. And it's cool to be a part of it. And I'm glad to be a part of that for May 16th.
I can tell in your voice how much it all meant to you. Will Freddie be in your corner in May?
I have no idea. I try not to get too much more involved with what takes away from the boxers. That's what I do. I try not to take away from what everybody's doing on their team. So if he's there, he's there. If he's not, we're going to have somebody from the team there. And I know exactly what we got to do.
Okay.
It doesn't stop with Beneil. I'm going to be real. We got a really structured game plan when it comes to what we're doing. We're not veering away from it. I'm putting in the rounds. I've flown in a couple people, aside from Wildcard Boxing. I've flown in a couple people, and I got a couple more people coming in, and different coaches and looks and likes and stuff. And it feels like I'm back on the Ultimate Fighter, Ariel. I feel like I'm back before anybody knew me. And it's on a different mentality. I touched base where Kamaru Usman said varsity mentality. Well, that's my. Well, in likeliness. It's not about my or anything. How about it's just a certain belief that you have? You know, it takes a certain mentality to get to where you're at, and then it also takes a certain amount to be able to stay there. So where I'm at right now is an Olympic mentality. I said that earlier before we got on the phone that I wanted to see the sport in the Olympics, but you don't have guys like, if you don't have guys like myself, fathead Khabib, or, you know, even Connor should be pushed into the Olympics. It's different. Without us being here, and even Dustin Poirier and these guys and us like fighting for something like this, it's crazy. You wouldn't have the sport, or Dana even putting it out there. And it makes it interesting to have these fights. So now you have May 15th, right? May 16th.
15th.
15th. And now you got a new belt that's up for grabs, which was been dangled in front of me for how long, Ariel? Right?
Years. Yeah.
I just played and toyed with and everything. And it's kind of, man, it's frustrating, but in essence too, though, check this out. Anything can happen. What if one of those guys falls out and I'm ready and nobody else is, and I have to go and fight for the title? What if, a lot of what ifs. One thing that we're taking care of is the what ifs. We're taking care of all the variables that we possibly can in this camp. I know that their team over at King's MMA, they're training really hard for this guy, but there's nowhere near the amount of talent that I'm trying to surround myself in putting it together. It's uncomparable. Last year, I didn't hit any reps. I barely hit any reps to make sure that I can make other people's happiness before mine. And this year, I'm making sure I'm doing that shit for sure.
Okay, so I have a ton of follow-ups here, Tony. Obviously, you talk about the coaching and the people that you're surrounding yourself with. One of the big stories going into the last fight against Oliveira was you changing your team. Can you explain once and for all why you decided to make this switch, why you decided to get rid of, you know, or move on from some of the coaches that you had for so many years?
Well, they never saw me lose, for one. I mean, it probably took a lot of heat. You know, some of the things that came out of the mouth, like throw some sand and stuff, it's kind of a lot. And it's kind of an ego crusher when it comes down to it. But then you have to also think about it. How are people going to survive? And how my close circle goes, you know, my faith, family, friends, and my team. And I keep my team really close. Well, my team has families. And to be able to be there a lot, especially during COVID times, it takes a lot. People were losing their jobs. People were losing their shops. People were doing a lot of things, man, that they couldn't control because of a lot of things that we couldn't control. So I've had coaches that wouldn't take any more tests, like COVID tests. So that was out of, like, you know what I mean? It was, you know, not even to name names. I don't. Like, there were things that were out of my control and out of their control that forced me to make moves that I had to be able to take as a chief security officer of my business, right?
Mm-hmm.
To make sure that, one, the UFC is going to keep going, that they can count on me being reliable, and two, that I'm clutch. Demonstrating how much of a person is a clutch person will tell you how reliable they are as well. My coach has always been reliable for me. They've been there. And so it's almost like, think about this, Ariel. If you've been to college, right? You've been to school and you've been to classes. How often, when you graduate school, do you go back and you visit all your teachers?
Unfortunately, no.
No, not really, right? Because you have all the knowledge that you need. And so what you do is you go out there in the real world and you use it, right?
Mm-hmm.
You demonstrate what you learned, paid for it, and you go out there and you use it. It's the same thing. It's no different with coaches, and it's no different with trainers. I myself have been doing this for a very long time. I'm a big boy. Okay, so whenever I didn't have the coaching, I had to make the phone calls and the, you know, and the names and the people to be able to get me where I was at. And the coaches had to do the same thing, and then trusting that with the hard work and effort put in there. Where we're at right now, man, it's interesting to see how, like, with coaching and trainers are, because my conditioning is really good, and I can train all day. But for the last, like, 8 to 10 years, I've had to, like, be able to try to learn each sport in separate, right? When I found that I started to try to put, like, the sports together, and especially with my team, it was really hard. It was difficult for, like, some of my team to agree to disagree on certain things, and it was really good. And you know what I mean? It was a valiant effort. But where it is nobody's gonna know mixed martial arts better than myself, because I'm in there. I'm the man in the arena. Unless I find another coach that does that, or I'll be able to apply it, and so on and so forth. Now, remember how I told you how I kind of graduated from my coaches, which was really cool. Now they get to go and do their thing. They get to live their lives, and they kind of get to see me do my thing with the knowledge and the things that I have. The last camp that I had, we had planned, we had a schedule, we had things. Things didn't go right. We went out flat. Immediately after the fight, my arm was a little compromised. I went and hit pads, Ariel. I hit pads to get my arm better and figure out what was wrong. And you know what the funny thing is? You know what I learned out of both those losses, Ariel?
What's that?
God gave me a break. He's like, you know what? You don't need to be leading from the front anymore for right now. He's like, you need to work on you. He's like, you've been trying to do too much for a lot of people. He's like, you need to work on yourself. You need to make you good for your family, make your family really good, because there's no juice left in the squeeze. Trying to help people that don't want to be helped, and trying to do things overly for people that you shouldn't. Like me, you know, obviously taking fights for the UFC and losing my belt again, and you know, taking these opportunities, but I had to look at it from a different way. And it's been the biggest blessing of my life to lose that 12 fight win streak, to focus on what's important to me, which I won't say, and to really control the only things that I can. And this is what I teach my guys. I teach a lot of athletes to get back up on the, on that horse and be able to get back into battle and do things in life. And it's kind of man that I teach. And what I see is I see at least progress. All this stuff and all these chances I took, if I didn't do it, we weren't going to see Khabib or McNuggets or anybody else do it. If we wouldn't have taken these chances, then the sports, it would have taken a little bit longer to get there. It would have done it, but it would have taken a little bit longer. But we made that happen. When there was gaps, we filled them. And, you know, if my team wasn't there, I went into battle knowing that I had the carnal knowledge to be able to go in there, sustain either not getting beat or get out of victory. I'm in good shape, and I know exactly what I have to do, but I have to hit my reps. And time management is one of the best things that I have learned over the last couple of years. And I have more than enough potential to be able to do this, man. And I'll make it another run at that belt. And I'm not. It's for the first time when I was against Oliveira, I started to like MMA again.
During the fight?
Yeah, during the fight, it was cool because the first round I knew he was going for the armbar. I mean, and I knew, you know, from watching film, I only trained 5 hours of jiu-jitsu for that fight. That's it.
Why? Why so little?
I was busy, dude, just doing a lot of other stuff, man, trying to make my business flow, trying to worry about, like, making sure that my team was filled and making sure that, hey, guys, we're going to hit these reps during fight week, okay? All right. Right? Yeah, fight week changed, dude. They said we couldn't we couldn't do anything because of COVID, so it was, man, the preparations were, what are you going to say? You take the loss, man, you move on, and you go back to the board, you look at the numbers, and I figured it out. I've been doing this for a long time, man. I'm a good coach. I'm a really good coach and trainer. It's because I'm coachable. And I figured it out. Went back to the drawing board. I'm not ahead of schedule, but I'm right there with where I got to be. And I'm surrounding myself around people that are not only doing what I'm doing, but they're hungry, man, like how I am. And it's nice. It really is to be able to surround myself around people that are not comfortable. I guess you would call it like that. And that know what it takes to be able to get there and to stay there. Because I forget who said it. I think it was in the Ultimate Fighter. I don't know if it was Dana or Brock or somebody said it. He said it's harder to stay here than it is to get here. And for me, for the UFC, it's not about like staying, winning, and losing and stuff like that. Like, it's my losses, when I look at them, I'm like learning through each one, and it's not getting like demolished or anything like that, because it's hardly like I'm ever like that. But I'm getting mat time, and I don't do too much sparring. So when I go back and I look at my mistakes and I'm looking at my mat time is in real time. But now what I'm doing is I'm getting mat time in real time now, before I go out there. So these are in trouble. It's just wait, dude. Like, they're convincing me to go spar over here at Wild Card, and I'm just like itching at the bit, man, because I'm just waiting. Because I need some MMA sparring, and I'm waiting for somebody to do some MMA sparring because it's completely different. So right now I'm on my way to wildcard right now, and we might get some sparring in today because last week, we talked, which is really cool. But you guys are gonna see a different animal out of me out there, and it's because I've changed for the good stuff, man. I've always have, but for the last couple of years, I just kind of just paid attention to what everybody was doing, just walked around in a drunken stupor and just took notes and watched how everybody was connected. So now I'm here. It's cool. Just enjoying life and just doing it right.
Is it true that you haven't sparred in like 5 or so years? And if so, are you going to end that streak? Are you saying that you're going to go back to sparring?
Yeah, so I got some light sparring in the other day with one of my guys and a couple of them. I don't like to hurt people, Ariel.
Yeah.
So it's different when it comes down to it. I mean, yeah, I'm in the hurt business in the sport, but you get what I'm talking about.
For sure.
I'm a kid, I got older, I'm a businessman, but it doesn't stop me from being a dangerous man. That's a completely different one. One thing that Dana told Coach Freddie, right? Because they talked about me one time, and Dana says I'm top 3 best in the world. That's pound for pound. That's from him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm top 3 best in the world, and I'm handpicked from Dana, from the Ultimate Fighter. So I don't have, the relationship I have with Dana and how it is, count on me. They can always count on me. But I'm getting smarter in the game, and where I'm knowing is what took me here was a lot of good sparring, a lot of bag work, and a lot of good stuff, and mixing it up. When I stopped mixing it up and I started focusing on singular type of mix or MMA or just type of martial arts, that's when people try to figure it out. But I'm a freestyle wrestler, dude, and I'm a national champ when it comes to college wrestling. I'm very smart and a captain. And I know what it takes to win, and I know how it takes to lose. But I know how to bounce back from a loss to be able to take those victories. And you think about it, how do you get 12 consecutive victories without a title? You're bouncing back from a loss. Those are, you know what I mean? That's consolation rounds. But without a title shot, I mean, come on now, bro. Something's up there. But
Yep.
At the end of the day, look, man, I'm getting paid. I'm going out there. I got job security. I'm chilling. I'm going out there, and people are having fun watching it, and they're being entertained. And my people, they're not streaming. They're paying for it. And you count on that, right? So I don't have casuals, and my casuals, if they're learning, the hardcores are teaching them. Remember, I dubbed that statement. Remember that and how far it went? So it's cool to see how trendy and everything is, dude, and how to be a part of it and seeing where it's going and where it came from. It's just man, it doesn't just take one person in this industry to make sure that this sport keeps going. That's for sure.
Tony, when you found out that you were fighting on the same card as the vacant lightweight title fight, I mean, you could have fought on any card, but that's the one that you're on. How did you react to that, considering your history with that belt and, for all the years that it eluded you? How did that make you feel?
I don't know how to make the UFC feel. That's what I want to know. Was it a joke? Was it to kind of taunt it? Or was it to give me hope and a chance? To be like, you know what, kid? Yeah, something can happen. You just keep fighting. Don't give up. You're that close. Don't quit. That's how I see
it. Did you feel like quitting after the Oliveira fight in December?
No, I went back and hit pads immediately afterwards. My arm was all so I'm gonna be real, but I went back. I went to recovery mode. I seriously, I literally. Everybody asked me, what are you going to do? You're going to keep fighting and do this? Yeah, but I'm also going to go back and get my degree. It's different, man. I heal completely different because I know my body. And it's complete. I love it. I love the game. If you don't know your nutrition, how to recover your body and everything else like that, take notes. I'm going to open up my business for this. You know what I mean? It's completely different. It's not all jokes and laughs like how the memes and stuff are. There's a real big science behind it. And there's a big plan behind it. A lot of people think it's just cringy and weird, and how the words like Joe Rogan used to say, or how it used to be weird and it was cringy, and then it became genius. What? I get it. Anything that's different, it's completely different. I get it until people like it, and then it becomes trendy.
How did we end up with Beneil? I saw, of course, I'm sure you saw as well, Islam Makhachev was calling you out. There seemed to be many options for a name like yours. How did you end up with Beneil Dariush as your next opponent?
I'm not sure. I'm sure it had to do with something with Dominance MMA. Obviously, they're all out there and they just keep toying with it. But I'm getting closer to Khabib, and that's the only fight that his pops wanted for him, and that's the only fight that they agreed to still. So, like I said before, on that one, if he needs to be retired and go do PEDs and come back stronger, and I'm just kidding with them. You get what I'm talking about. But he's gonna watch, man. They're gonna try to get as much film on me as they possibly can. And I don't know what all the film you need. I'm gonna be real. I gave you two of the best ones. So it could be good running. Silent dotted line could be. It's the same. And they keep giving me all these guys from Dominance MMA to kind of like toy with it. And Ali Abdelaziz, man. You know, runs the guy's Twitter account and he's swearing for Khabib. He's Muslim, dude. He don't swear.
Do you feel like that fight is actually going to happen at some point? Like, you haven't given up despite what he has said about retirement and the end of his career. You feel in your heart like that fight is going to happen at some point?
Well, I have a pretty good idea when people are calling their bluffs, right? Remember when I called his bluff on UFC 209? Same dude. I know Khabib, and that's the only reason I can look into that guy's soul. So it's different, you know. Just like, oh, you're full of guys. This guy right here, Khabib, man. Look it only turns out when that dude's around. I only select other few people. So regardless of his chess, checkers, or whatever it is, or even a friendly game of video games, I'm sure we'll play one time, whatever it is, because the fans want to see something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But like I said, there's a fun narrative to how everything's got to go, and if I got to pick them all off one by one like John Wick, I will.
Were you interested in Islam because he's kind of his protege and maybe gets you one step closer to Khabib? Was that something that you considered?
I don't know. I'm going to be real. There's a lot. They offered me Kamaru Usman at Submission Underground.
Chael did?
Yeah, so you know what I mean? And it was completely different for some things. And there's a lot of options when it comes down to it for like competition and stuff. But right now we got Beneil Dariush.
Mm-hmm.
And I know like their whole entire crew over at King's MMA is helping them. So it feels exactly like how I was on The Ultimate Fighter. And it's Beneil right now. I can't say what I'm working on, man. I mean, like, it'd be dumb to be doing all that stuff. But I know they have a game plan. I'm going to put it right back in their face.
Who do you think wins, Chandler or Oliveira for the belt?
I hope they knock each other the out, or one of them doesn't show up. I'm going to go out there and win that belt. Like, be real, you know me.
Yeah.
I would love to be able to put another belt on my banister, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because before I didn't want it. I didn't feel like it was like something I wanted. Like in that fight with Oliveira, when I went through the armbar and I looked at him when he was on the ground and he was in disbelief that he didn't get it, and I'm waiting for my Darce choke from the bottom till the third round, right? I don't know if anybody saw that Darce choke, but I hit it from the bottom, but my arm was compromised, and I didn't sink it like I did with Barboza, and I should have. I went half on it, and it's a completely different type of black belt mentality. I'm patient. He got excited. So if we're going fishing, he's going to be like that. You know what I mean? It's going to be interesting. But he's one of the toughest grapplers. And I think he's a little bit heavier than Khabib because he's jiu-jitsu based. He's not sambo based. Sambo's throwing based. Now it's punching in a lot of different things. You're mixing up the mentality with the jiu-jitsu straight ground based and pressure, completely different. There's no worrying about throws and too much. So his pressure, especially with Oliveira, I believe that I grapple with one of like the heaviest pressure grapplers out there. Khabib is like pressured in like one of the aspects, you know. But as far as like on the ground, I believe Oliveira is better than Khabib. I'm gonna be real. And I went out there with 5 fucking hours. It fucking almost left him in the third fucking round, and he didn't even break my arm. Fucking got up and started hitting him with it. So and he never went back to mount position. He never went back to that. He abandoned that one. So that tells me already that he was already broke because he stayed away from that position and he stayed inside mount. So I'm doing like all the math and testing the fences while I'm in there with Oliveira. And that's what started to make me have fun with it because his hands got in my eyes at one point, right? And instead of gouging my eyes, he let it go. And the same kind of thing happened when I was on bottom. I had my hands on his face and I kind of went to move away. My hands went in his eyes and I was like, oh, he said, sorry. He said, no problem. And we kept working. And it was because of the Bushido code and even the up kick. I did not know that he was on the ground when I up kicked him, but we were him up. He got messed up with that elbow. He was starting to bleed, and it was just I was starting to feel comfortable on my back from there. But it happened. The go kick didn't change too. I mean, I think it changed the outcome, but what are you gonna do? You take it. You learn from it. That caused me to be an athlete and to have to respond to the points in the system in the game. That made it fun again. Going through that, I was like, man, this is, and it started making me hungry and getting close to, I lost it. But to know how close I was with that Darce and to know that the reps that I did and the amount of time that went into training for that fight and knowing how close I was to that victory made me hungry again. It was like, what the why did you waste time like with this? You know, like you were doing a lot of stuff. Yeah, it was important to do that, but you know what I mean? You don't like losing. No, I don't. I hate losing. I got a lot of medals in my stuff, man. I got a lot of medals there in different sports. Most of them are gold. Not all of them are gold, but the right ones are. And I got rings to back it up too. So when I put it together and I put my reps in and I talk to my coaches like Brock, you know, Brock's like, hey, so you understand now the difference between chicken salad and chicken salad? Started because I texted him a couple of times and I was like, yeah, man, absolutely. Because we started talking about like training partners and people we surround ourselves with. And it was completely different, dude. And it's a mentality that I had lost focus on because somewhere along the lines, I allowed myself to lose focus of that. And I feel like I'm back, dude. I really do, and no with it. And it's because of the support that I have around me. If I didn't have that support from A to Z, you know what I mean? From top to bottom, from the company I work with, from faith, family, friends, man, seriously, my wife first and foremost, because we're about to have our baby boy, another one. You know,
congratulations. I was just about to ask you about that. How much has that helped this, this feeling that you have right now? It seems like you're in a great place. I can feel it in your voice. I can hear it. The fact that you're about to become a father for a second time and another baby boy, how much has that contributed to this mood that you're in?
It's awesome, dude. I'm gonna be real. I haven't had a kitchen since December. I remodeled my kitchen, and that was before my fight. And so I had a lot of interruptions last year. I was really, really trying to do some really good, man. And right, it's like if you're a farmer and you're doing the work and everybody else is having fun, or they're doing whatever they got to do, right? And you did the work and you sowed and you put the seeds in there and you took care of it, you watered it. You didn't go to take vacations. You didn't do any of that. You didn't go party. You stayed there. You cared for your stuff and you worked and worked and worked. That was what I did last year. And now the people that didn't do that last year, they're barely doing it this year. But at least I have food for people this year. That's how I feel about it, and I feel confident going into any fight that I'm going with because I did all the work last year, and because nobody else stepped up, and because that was and I did that especially on the 18th of April last year. That was the first time in my life nobody jocked my style. It was cool, and nobody wanted to, and it was. So this year, I'm going to earn it even more than I did last year, and I'm going to do less talking, more walk.
Could I ask, Tony, was there ever any shot in your mind of the Diaz fight that we've talked about for years as well? Coincidentally, he ends up on the same card as you too on May 15th, but it seemed like you guys were maybe circling each other. Was there any shot of that? Was that something that interested you?
Yeah, absolutely. When it comes down to it, I have like zero animosity from these guys and these characters that are in this industry. But we love the banter, we love the shit. I just like fighting. I love squaring up with somebody that wants to square up and that has the athletic talent to back it up. Now that's how boxing was back in the day. Now you have MMA is kind of the same way. You just had the Stipe fight, you had Nagano fight, which was bad as everybody's looking forward to that. Everybody looks forward to my fights. They look forward to Nate's fights and Connor's and Dustin's. It's kind of different, right? But it's fun. And you have fans that are kind of like, man, it's hard to choose between people. I just want to see a fight. And that's what we build. We build that rapport for this. So I'm a legend, man, and he's a legend too. So you got something like that. You got a super fight. So we got to remember we're OGs in this game. That's original geniuses, man. I don't jock Nate's style, and he don't jock my style. And that's cool, man. We're both Mexican, and that's cool. We're both from Cali, so at least if we're both representing, then we got cool. Same thing with Brian Ortega and Kelvin. We You know, it's completely different. We don't have too many Mexicans being talked about in this game, and I'm very proud to be one. I'm American as well, and I go out there and I represent them. So you know what I'm talking about.
And Tony, you just turned 37. Have you thought about how many more years you want to do this for?
Oh man, 10 more, even more. I'll be real. Like I'm keeping up with a lot of these 20-year-olds in sprints.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing a lot more in I did 1,000 shrugs at 225 the other day when UFC Countdown was there. I was like, and I did like 50 of them, and they're like, how can you let us film it? I was like, I'll do 1,000 before the day is done, and I did like maybe in like 4 or 5 hours, and that's what the other two.
I think you have to go to training. Can I ask you one more thing?
For sure, bro.
You mentioned GSP, one of the greatest of all time, and I know you said that you wanted to keep your conversations for the most part private, but was there anything about the fight game, about rebounding, about careers, any wisdom he imparted on you? And can I dare ask maybe what that was? I'm assuming, I mean, that one picture of you, Freddie, and him, that's iconic stuff. I mean, the mind's just in that ring right then and there. And I'm just wondering if there was anything you could share with us about something that he may have told you about the fight game.
Man, I didn't recognize him at first, and he said Tony, and he said my elbows, and and he called me champ, and I called him champ, and it was the coolest thing. So it was like, for somebody to call somebody else champ, especially when they're champ, that's a humble thing, and that's a real big black belt move, dude. Like, he's a good dude, and he works hard for what you have, and it's cool to be around that, like, and to see the transition, because he's retired, bro. You got to understand that. And Coach Freddie's right there. So maybe it was like a passing of the torch, me trying to, like, you know what I mean, be the captain of the team at wild card. I don't know, man, but the conversations I had with him were cool. I'm not going to say anything about it. I just know that it's cool to see somebody like that you had as, like, not a target, but somebody that you were gunning for a long time, now be a mentor. Like, in a sense, not a huge mentor, but kind of like, man, that's cool, man. This guy's doing it. Because if you don't have somebody like that, then you're building your own blueprint. I've been doing that for a long time, so at least him and a lot of other people are doing it. So props to him, and then you know, everybody else that's out there going after it. You know, don't quit. We've had a lot of our friends and people, you know, that quit over some stupid. Don't do that, man. Keep your hands up, your chin down, and see somebody laying low, pick them back up, dust them up, and tell them airs up.
Well put. We'll leave it at that. Tony, great to talk to you as always. I'm very happy to hear that you're in a good spot. I can't wait for your return. May 15th, Houston, Texas, UFC 262, the return of El Kakui against Beneil Dariush. Massive fight at 155. Appreciate the time, Tony, and good luck in the next few weeks as you prepare for the fight.
Hey, thank you, man. And check this out. Make sure you guys follow my boys. I just signed with my homies, the Protein Pizza. Check out www.proteinpizza.shop. And check them out. We put the pro back in with Protein Pizza.
Oh, I love it. And by the way, congrats on the NFT. Look at you getting into the NFT game, Tony. That's big time stuff. I hope you make a lot of money off that.
Well, we had something going on before Francis, you know, and all the stuff, and everybody released it. But I'm kind of glad we didn't do that. We don't like to talk. But yeah, it's something kind of cool. If you look at the collection, dude, what I like about it is the very first Wolverine, right? And Marvel and the comic book stuff. You can kind of tell NFTs, some of the inspo from there. So check it out, guys.
All right, cool. Thank you, Tony. All the best.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.